I've read plenty of analyst commentaries that have come out the last 24 hours, and I've got to say it feels as though the community is pretty divided. Those in the bullish camp think that the discipline, the visibility about the cuts towards end of 2025 is a good thing for the market, and those in the bearish camp are surprised to see some barrels being brought back to the market as soon as 2024. Where do you stand in the debate?
I understand why the debate has emerged, because this OPEC Plus meeting has been perhaps one of the most challenging, arithmetically speaking, but it all depends on what you are focusing your attention on. Because remember, there are 3 layers of production cuts that have been introduced by OPEC Plus since 2022, starting with the official cuts for the whole group of 2 million barrels a day. Those cuts have been extended until December 2025. And then there are 2 sub-layers of voluntary cuts. The first one introduced in April 2023 by 9 members. Those will be, they are of 1.55 million barrels a day. And those would be also extended until December 2025. So in that respect, we are seeing extension of the cuts until end of 2025. But there is one more layer of voluntary cuts, and they were introduced in November 2023, and they also include the 1 million barrels a day Saudi lollipop to the market back then when it was announced, and they amount to 2.2 million barrels a day. Those cuts are going to stay in place until September this year. But as of the 4th quarter of this year, they are going to be gradually phased out on a monthly basis. So they published already the schedule who will be cutting, increasing more by how much every month until September 2025. So if you take that into consideration, you can actually see it differently. You can see that actually there is more barrels coming to the market from the 4th quarter of this year. And in that respect, it can send bearish signals to the market.
Yeah, and how do we think about the decision in the context of non-OPEC supply that's coming through from the likes of US and others?
This has been, since the shale revolution started in the US, this has been the main challenging factor that OPEC and later on OPEC Plus has faced. And this is a supply that responds to prices, and it has surprised many in the sense that it has proven to be very resilient. And we continue to see record production levels from the US coming to the market. And especially this year, the US has led the non-OPEC Plus supply growth, and is likely to continue to be leading that non-US supply, non-OPEC Plus supply growth for several years to come. And also there are other production coming from Guyana, Norway, Brazil, but they are not as flexible in terms of responding to prices as we see with the US shale. So I think that is probably one of the main factors on the supply side that OPEC Plus has taken into consideration when thinking about market share, because while OPEC Plus has been losing market share because of production cuts, the US has been gaining market share.